The Miami Heat are reportedly yet again in big trade talks with other teams trying to get a big name free agent or a big name player over trade. This time it is now currently being reported that the Miami Heat will also be interested in potentially trying to sign Houston Rockets All-Star James Harden. What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today I've got some more NBA news to talk about with you guys. This time it is currently being reported that the Miami Heat are on James Harden's wish list if he does request a trade, and report is that the Miami Heat could actually be interested in potentially trying to trade for him. This is all being reported by 5 Reason Sports. Now, I do believe this would be very, very interesting. In my opinion, I don't necessarily know how much James Harden works with the Miami Heat, but what I can say is I would absolutely love the duo of Jimmy Butler and James Harden. Two of my favorite players in the NBA on one team would literally almost entice me to become a Miami Heat fan. I'm not going to lie. Miami Heat are already my second favorite team at the moment, just based on the fact that Jimmy Butler plays for them. If they get James Harden, again, that would be absolutely so cool in my opinion. The issue is, I don't really think James Harden plays the way, though, that the Miami Heat do go about it. The Miami Heat are one of the few very, very system-based teams in the league, and the way they go about it is, not prioritizing threes. They don't prioritize isolation plays. Instead, they always prioritize having good and efficient defense, mid-range, and just having a, IQ or shot for everywhere on the field, whether that's the mid-range or, in the paint, etc. That's what the Miami Heat want from you. And again, that three-point range isn't always the biggest requirement, especially if you are a Miami Heat player. Now, the two issues with this is that James Harden is a very big isolation player, which the Miami Heat do not like. And he also is a player that loves to take a lot of threes on those isolation plays, or fakes it, again, or, pump fake. It's just not really what the Miami Heat like. It's not ideal for the Miami Heat. What I could see, though, is happening is, I feel like the reason James Harden is such an isolation type of player, though, is because he was actually coached into that with Mike D'Antoni as his head coach. James Harden was never really always an isolation player. He did, start to get more like that, but especially as soon as he got Mike D'Antoni as his new head coach, he did become a real focus-heavy player on the isolation, and for the most part, he's done it pretty well in his career. I just don't think you can win a championship off it. But if James Harden does get traded to the Miami Heat, let's just say he does request a trade, which is obviously now rumored on, and there's an official source to say that he might actually do that, then I definitely feel like the Heat could turn him into a different player, and a player that more fits their kind of play style. For example, when James Harden does shoot the mid-range, he's not exactly the most consistent on it, but for the most part, he can be pretty decent on it, and that's with that even being one of his main focuses as a player. If he has a whole preseason to know what his focuses on the teams is going to be, then I'm definitely sure he can develop into a good mid-range player that can knock him down efficiently, for the most part of the game. Not just that, he already has the great playmaking, is already a decent three-point shooter, and if he can get on the catch and shoot, I'm sure he can develop to be a very consistent catch and shoot player as well. The issues are his defense. Look, I don't feel like James Harden is as bad as a defender as some people say he is, but it's not like he's good at defense, efficient at defense for the most part. But again, if he knows his role on the Miami Heat, and considering how good the Miami Heat defenders are, I feel like he can actually avoid that problem. Now, what would the Miami Heat actually trade to get James Harden to the team? Of course, the Houston Rockets are going to want to go young, and there are definitely teams out there that are going to offer young players and a variety of picks. So what the Miami Heat would actually have to trade up for him, I'm assuming, would be up to 4 first-round picks. That's just obvious at this point. That's what every team is going to have to trade to try and get James Harden to the team if they want him. Not just that, teams are going to obviously have to try and trade some young players. The Miami Heat will be no difference from that. I definitely believe the Houston Rockets will be interested in Derrick Jones Jr., Duncan Robinson, Tyler Hero, and Kendrick Nunn. And honestly, in my opinion, if the Miami Heat can get a sign and trade on Derrick Jones Jr., what I would do if I was the Miami Heat, I would offer 4 first-round picks, Derrick Jones Jr., Kendrick Nunn, and maybe another player if the Rockets demand another player. The reason why this is because if you get James Harden to the team, Kendrick Nunn's probably not going to be getting as much minutes as what he's used to in his, first season with the team. Not just that, I don't really feel like Kendrick Nunn would go that well with James Harden, so I don't feel like it would matter too much if they got rid of him in the deal. Derrick Jones Jr. as well, yes, even though he's very young and is a very underrated player in the league, it still doesn't change the fact that Derrick Jones Jr. still didn't get really any minutes in the playoffs at all. So those, and same with Kendrick Nunn too, he didn't really get too many minutes in the playoffs as well, until Goran Dragic went down with an injury. But if you have Dragic and James Harden on the, team at the same time, and they could always go and sign a veteran point guard, and then you could just really barely see time for Kendrick Nunn to get game time anyway. Not just that, Derrick Jones Jr. is going to struggle with game time, as I still feel like the Heat, again, they're going to want to give more minutes to Iguodala. Duncan Robinson / Jimmy Butler are kind of playing that wing type of position together. So it is going to be a lack for Derrick Jones Jr. now as well, ever since Iggy got to the team. So I feel like the Heat giving up those 2 players to potentially get James Harden to the team wouldn't exactly affect them, as much as what some people would maybe make it out to be. Not just that, the 4 first-round picks, again, wouldn't exactly be the worst thing either, as the Miami Heat already do have a very solid young foundation. I mean, Tyler Hero is only about 20 years of age, is an incredible young talent. Bam Adebayo is under 24 and is already an all-star in the league. Duncan Robinson's about 26. He'll start to head into his prime as a catch-and-shoot type of player. They're still got some incredibly young players while having some veteran players on the team as well. So again, I feel like that would just be a very good trade for them, and it would make a lot of sense in the long run. So the reason this would work for both teams is, again, Kendrick Nunn and Derrick Jones Jr. didn't even really get that many minutes in the playoffs, and I don't really feel like they're going to be too useful for them next season. So again, I believe that the way this works is that James Harden already takes in the minutes that Kendrick Nunn, was putting up. He'd even get obviously a lot more. Derrick Jones Jr., they could easily just go sign a veteran small forward, not to do a similar job, but they've already got Iggy and Jimmy Butler and Duncan Robinson going through the rotation, and the 4 first-round picks don't exactly matter that much to the Heat, especially considering if they got James Harden, they'd know they'd be getting an MVP type of caliber player, and obviously they'd still have room to maybe go get another all-star like Victor Oladipo. And where this works really well for the Houston Rockets rather, is that they can bring in Kendrick Nunn, who can be their future point guard. He's only about 24 to 25, I do believe as well. Could even be younger. He will already go into that. Derrick Jones Jr. would immediately start at small forward, I think, considering I do believe he is better than Daniel House. I feel like a couple other players might be getting traded, so he could definitely start in that lineup. And those 4 first-round picks would definitely come in handy on a rebuilding team. And obviously maybe another player they could get here and there. Whoever it may be, I don't know, maybe like a Myers Leonard could definitely be like a solid man in their rotation as well. So this could definitely be a win-win for the Miami Heat and the Houston Rockets. The issue though I do see with this is, I feel like James Harden, there will be other teams that could offer more. Let's just say the Golden State Warriors are interested in him, which they've been reported to be in. They've already got like pick 2, etc. So they could definitely offer more as well. So the Miami Heat definitely might have to actually pay overs just to secure the services of James Harden. But again, I think it's going to come down to the wire. I don't know if James Harden is going to get traded. I know Russell Westbrook, I feel like, will 100% get traded, especially considering he did put in a trade request. But I just feel like it's going to be extremely interesting to see how this goes. I still wouldn't be surprised if James Harden is a Houston Rocket next season. He's yet to request a trade, but if he does again, the Miami Heat look to be up the top of that list, and the Heat also do look like they are potentially interested in him. But anyone, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel for the latest NBA content and NBA news. Of course, don't forget to comment in the comment section down below. What are your thoughts and opinions on this? Do you guys think it'd be a good idea for the Miami Heat to go after James Harden? Again, I definitely would really like to know all of your thoughts and opinions on this down below. Do you guys think the Houston Rockets should trade James Harden? Do you guys think they should trade James Harden to the Miami Heat? Again, I definitely would really like to know all of your thoughts and opinions on this down below. But of course, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for the latest NBA content and NBA news and sports related content in general. Don't forget to subscribe to my gaming channel and my IRO/vlogging channel. Don't forget to check out my podcast as well if you haven't already. Links for them will all be in the description down below. But as I'll sign off to thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and comment. And I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.